Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Michelle, and today I am sharing a page with you that's a little bit different for me. In the past, I've seen people's artwork with red and turquoise, and I've always loved the way that other people can do it. And whenever I've tried it, I really could not make it work for me. So on this day, I decided to challenge myself a little bit and work with those two colors to see if I could come up with something that I like somewhat. So that was the challenge for today. So I grabbed out Mermaid and Ho 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 from the Art by Marlene paints, and I'm working in my large Art by Marlene journal. And then I also pulled out a couple of stencils. So I have that playing cards one, I've got the mandala, and I've got some dots as well. So at the minute, I don't have a plan other than putting paint down on the page and then seeing what happens. So I start off with 3 blocks of the turquoise and I do 3 blocks of red, and I'm just making them very rough, a lot of brush strokes, not perfect in any stretch of the imagination. And then I'm going to do some reductive stenciling. So over the red, I go in with the blue and I just wipe it on with my finger, pop a stencil over the top and wipe away the excess paint through that stencil with a wet baby wipe. I am drying the layers in between because I know that if I go over the top of wet layers, it's going to wipe away the bottom layer. If that made any sense, I'm sorry. Now I'm going in with some stamping. I did pull out Marlene's art cards to try and see what is on the back of the turquoise and the red one. And actually, at the back of the blue one, there were these mandala shapes. So that's why I also took out the mandala stencil, because I thought that I would try and do something based on that card that you can see at the top left there. So I also took out the ornamental trio stamp set and I stamped with some red paint just to get some extra texture and to get that nice, elegant mandala-y kind of vibe going. And I'm going in with the playing cards stencil and I'm just doing some numbers. Again, just in 3 spots. And I am overlapping the numbers. So first I'd put the turquoise through the bigger numbers and then I went in with the red on the smaller numbers, but I am clustering those mark makings together, as you can see there. And again, just 3 spots. I kind of have a rule that I set for myself when I create, and that is to stick to 3s. Just 3s are quite pleasing to the eye. So definitely my main color blocks and my main mark making will all be in groups of 3. Then I took that mandala stencil and I just used one tiny part of it that's like a florally shape, and I just extended the mark making with that. And with the red, I'm going in again with the reductive stenciling and that tiny dot stencil. Now, I think the reason that I don't love working with red is because it looks an awful lot like blood. So I don't know, it just sometimes reminds me of blood, and especially where some of that red went over the mermaid, it kind of went a browny dried blood kind of color, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So first I went in with my finger and I just blended some of that red away with some of the Mermaid paint. And then I went over with my white paint. I did use the Amsterdam acrylic paint because that's nice and opaque. And I wanted to really make sure I cover up that brownish color. And I just used that tiny dot stencil for that. At this stage, the page was not coming together for me. I wasn't sure what the problem was. So I thought, I'm going to get rid of the white. And so I took out my watercolor paints, and I'm glad that I did that because it just gives a little bit of variation and interest. And I really like the way that that looked. And I just put it over all of the white spots. And at that stage, I thought, okay, I can maybe make this work. So I'm going in again with that ornamental trio stamp, and I've gone in with some white watercolor paint, and now I'm going in with the turquoise blue watercolor paint, and I'm just stamping it off here and there and everywhere. And I really, really love the way that the watercolor paints sit on these stamps, and I love the shapes and patterns that it gives me. It's not a perfect stamped impression, but it is. It almost makes me feel like maybe like a Middle Eastern kind of vibe, vintagey, blended away, or not vintagey, but rustic, I guess. If that makes any sense, but I do love the look of it. Now I'm going in with my gibberish stamp, and I'm just going to add some black. And at first I wasn't sure if I should add black to this. I wasn't sure if I was going to ruin it, but then once I put the stamp down, I loved it. That really, really pulled it together for me. I just really enjoyed it. So now I'm going in with that feather stamp, and I am using black ink as well, just because I thought that the black stamping worked really well. So I thought I would go in with some black watercolor as well. And again, I'm keeping my clusters together. So I'm kind of stamping where I'd already put the gibberish stamp and here and there. I also did black splatters, and I really, really loved the way that it's starting to come together. Going to give everything a nice dry. And then I'm going to start working on my focal point. So I did stop my video here for a second, and I took a photo for you guys of this background. I will be uploading this background onto my stories on Instagram, and you can go where the I think it's the saved stories, or I don't know, they're little circles at the top of the page. I will have that there for you. You can take a screenshot of that, print it out, and use it in your own artwork, or screenshot it and use it as a wallpaper on your phone, or whatever. It'll be there for you guys. Let me know if you get it and what you think of it. I thought it was really pretty. Then I took out this girl from Marlene's Out of the World paper pad. I chose her because her colors matched. So she's got the bluish eyes, and she had a little bit of blue in her dress, and her hair is brown, but like with maybe a little bit of a red undertone. So I thought she would work well. She also had that kind of grungy, weathered kind of look to her. So I glued her down with Marlene's sticky glue, and then I just extended her dress with some white gesso and colored it with watercolor paints. And now I'm just adding the marks onto her dress. So I'm looking at the pattern that's already on her dress, and I'm just bringing that down toward the bottom to blend everything together. and make her look like she has a whole dress and wasn't just cut from a paper pad and stuck down. I wanted to blend her in a little bit more or brighten her up a little bit more. So I'm going in with my coloring in pencils and I'm just following the colors that are already there, and I'm following the shadows and the highlights that are already there, and I'm just darkening up or brightening up some of the shades of blue and red. In her hair, I'll do some browns. I'm definitely making her cheeks a little pinker. I know you can't really see it on screen, but in real life you can, especially the eyes you can see, and now where I'm putting that kind of peachy color. And I also did her lips a little bit just to make her stand out a little bit more. I also really just enjoy coloring in over the top of Marlene's work. I sometimes think that it gives me practice to see where shadows and highlights should be. So it's kind of training my hands and my eyes and my brain to look for the darks and the lights. Now I'm doing the hair. And I'm also adding a little bit more vibrance to the dress. So for a page that I was quite nervous of doing and not sure how I would execute it, I really, really like it. When I page through my journal and I see it, makes me quite happy. I really love the background. I did think for a second there, oh, maybe I shouldn't cover it up. Maybe I should just put a small quote on it. But then I thought, you know what? It's a background. Background is a background for a reason. It means it's on the back and something can go over the top of it. So I am glad in the end that I did put the girl over the top. Now I'm just outlining her to make sure that she pops out a little bit, just defining her edges. In the book where she came from, she didn't have any line work around her, but I did want to add some in there. And doing the eyes and eyelashes. I do normally turn my book upside down when I do eyelashes. It's much easier for me to get that curved shape upside down than it is to do it upright. So that's why I turned it upside down there. And now I'm going to go in with my Stabilo All pencil. And I'm just going to blend out that pencil. So what I do with it is I go around the edge, then with just a wet paintbrush, I pull that color out to make a shadowy look. If you do not know the Stabilo All pencil, this truly is a magic pencil. I know that Dina Wakely calls it a magic pencil. It's water soluble. You can go as heavy or as light as you want with it. And it just makes a really easy natural shadow. So if you're not good with shadows, then that pencil is your best friend. Finally, I'm going in, or maybe not finally, for now I'm going in with some white. I just did some pearls in her hair and white highlights, and now I'm looking for a little quote to add to my page. This is the new luxury quotes. I wasn't sure at first if I should go with a white quote or a black one, and I think in the end I went with white. I don't know, let's see. And then I wasn't sure where to put it because at the top it felt a little bit disjointed, and at the bottom it felt like it was too bottom heavy, like there was too much going on the bottom of my page. So in the end I decided to put it right at the top there. And I figured even if it does feel a little bit disjointed, I will figure something out. So I did that quote at the top, and then I think I'm flipping through to find a quote that I can put on the bottom just to balance out the weight of the page. So it's not too top or bottom heavy. So that quote comes all the way down because I did feel like it needed something at the bottom there. My quote is, enjoy what is rather than longing for what might be. So I'm taking a while to try and find a quote that kind of will work with that kind of a living in the moment, or be grateful, that sort of thing. And as you can see, it's taking me a hot minute to find a quote. Normally I would pause my video here until I find a quote, but I thought, let me leave it in this time and show you that it doesn't always happen instantly. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a struggle to find the right words. But guaranteed, that little book from Arlene will always have the right words. So I did put a quote down, but I actually can't remember what it says. And then at the bottom of it, I wrote down, contentment is the roots of joy, or I don't know, something along those lines, just to remind myself to be content with what I have, where I am, just a little reminder. I didn't love the way that quote looked, so I'm going to be fiddling around with it a little bit. First I went over with a black gel pen. Maybe that's all that I did. Maybe I covered it up. I actually can't remember what exactly I did there. I'm probably, while I'm trying to figure out what to do, I'm just outlining the quote that I stuck down. Oh, yes, I did then cover it up with a white paint pen and then wrote over the top again with